What is going on YouTube? Welcome to TJ Mitchell Films, your one-stop shop for everything Jeep and off-road related content. And today we are going to be talking to you about airing up, airing down, and the fastest possible way that you guys can air up. Now, if you guys are familiar with the channel, you're going to know that last year we introduced the original Speedflate system, which utilized these coiled air hoses. There were a couple things that you guys were asking for the most. One, being a straight hose option, two, being different colors, and three, you guys were very vocal about wanting improved air checks. So at Speedflate, we listened to you guys, and this is the Speedflate straight hose system. Now what this is going to allow us to do is run double the pressure of the original system, which is going to lend compatibility with the Power Tank system for the fastest possible time to air up. Also, on all of our systems now, including the coiled system, we're using these new improved multi-prong air chucks, just like you guys were asking for. The colors that we are offering to start are red and blue, and later down the road we'll be adding even more colors. Most of you guys are probably airing up with an air compressor, but if you've done a little bit of research, it probably led you to a CO2 tank, and that hands down is the fastest way to air up. The highest CFM flow rate that you can get is with the CO2 tank, and there are many tank options out there, but pretty commonly known that Power Tank is the best system out there. And what separates Power Tank from the competitors isn't this nice aluminum tank, which is nice, but it is all in the regulator. The regulators don't freeze, and they provide extremely high output. So what we're going to be showing you guys today is hooking up the Speedflate straight system, and we're going to air down to 15 psi, and then we're going to see how quickly we can get all four of these 38-inch tires aired up with the Power Tank. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Speedflate system, they all come with this built-in digital pressure gauge, and the system is hooked up to all four tires. All you have to do is turn the gauge on, and as you can see, we're at 30.7 psi, and that is verified off of the TPMS sensors in the wheels, which we can see on the dash of the Jeep. Now, before we can air up from 15 to 30, we need to air down. Airing down is as simple as opening this ball valve, and the great part about this is you're free to do something else, to pack up or check on something else on your vehicle while this airs down. It makes it really nice, and you can get a lot more done. Alright, so just for reference guys, these are 38-inch tall tires. You can see we're at 15 psi. We're going to start the stopwatch, crank this thing on. What you're going to see me do a couple times is close the ball valve, and I'm closing that to get a pressure reading. When it's open, you're going to see how much pressure the Speedflate system is getting, and that's not going to be your tire pressure. So I'm going to close this a couple times as we go up, and we're going to go up to 30 psi. Alright, let's start that, and here we go. This is my first time actually doing a full run, so I'm not sure how long it's really gonna take. We're gonna check here in a second at 20 seconds, see what kind of progress we've made. So we're already at 22 psi. So I think this is gonna be under a minute. We'll check at 30 again. 24. As you can see, look how cold this is getting from the CO2. 40 seconds. And there you have it. 52 seconds. It would have been a little faster. I checked quite a few times, but we went from 15 psi to 30 in under a minute on 38-inch tall tires with the Power Tank. So let's talk real quick pros and cons of a Power Tank versus an air compressor. Most people would say that the best air compressor on the market is the ARB Twin, which is gonna run you about 500 bucks. Now, the pros of an air compressor is you're never gonna have to fill it up like a CO2 tank, but it's gonna be slower, much slower. For this size tire, you're gonna be in the 10 to 12 minute range to air up all four in the equivalent pressure range, so from 15 to 30. With the Power Tank, with this size, this is a 15-pound bottle. They also sell, I believe, I know they sell 10s and I believe 5-pound bottles as well. The size of the tank is going to dictate how many times you can air up your tires. Also, your tire size is going to depend on that as well. Prices are about the same. You're going to be about 500 bucks into a 15-pound tank, which is the biggest one they offer, and 500 for an ARB twin. In my area, now this is I think it's a more recent development, they do not fill CO2 tanks anywhere close to me. I have to have it shipped out an hour south to get this filled up for the first time, and it ran me about 28 bucks. So there is the additional cost of the power tank every time you have to fill it up, versus the air compressor, it's never gonna cost you any additional money. But you guys saw that speed, under a minute for 38-inch tires from off-road pressure to street pressure. If you're running smaller tires, 37s, 35s, 33s, the power tank is gonna be even that much faster. If you're running something like 40s, you're gonna be looking at probably over a minute, maybe right at a minute. It really depends also on your rim size. So that's sort of the pros and the cons of the two systems. The new hoses that we're running on the straight hose system, like I said earlier, have double the pressure rating of the coiled. So you can crank this. I had this fully maxed out, and since essentially what it does is it disperses that pressure between all 4 valve stems. So when this was given 300 PSI, it wasn't actually 300 in the system, as you guys saw. I believe it was around, I'll have to play that back. I'll put that number here. I think it was around 150 PSI. Also, the thing you're gonna have to think about for your vehicle is the size and weight of the power tank. Like I said, they do have 5, 10, and 15-pound variations of this, but this thing is heavy and it's large, so it's gonna take up a lot of space in your vehicle. Me with the Gladiator, I'm gonna mount it in the bed, so space isn't really gonna be an issue. A lot of Wrangler guys mount them on the roll cages so they're up and out of the way, sort of unused space anyways. So just another factor for you guys to consider when you're looking at a Speedflate system and an air compressor or a power tank system. Now that I told you guys the pros and cons of an air compressor versus a CO2 tank, let's talk about the pros and cons of each Speedflate system. Now visually, as you guys can see here, over here is the coiled hose system, and you can see it takes up more space than the straight hose. So if you are running maybe a 2-door Jeep or something like an older Jeep or a Suzuki Samurai that's really cramped for space, then the straight hose system might be better for you in that option, just because this can slide under a seat. It's a lot easier to store because the coiled hoses really retain their memory well, and this is about as small as you can get that package. So another difference between the straight hose and the coiled hose, why we launched originally as the first coiled hose system was this will stretch from tire to tire and not touch the ground. So that means that your system isn't getting dirty. You're not getting mud, dirt, snow, whatever inside your air chucks or anything, because as you pull this out of the bag, you go from one tire to the next, your stuff stays clean, neat, and off the ground. With the straight hose system, you can try to, keep it off the ground, but it's going to get a little more dirty. And that is sort of the design behind the coiled versus the straight as far as functionality goes. So just keep that in mind. If you like keeping your vehicle and all of your stuff really clean, then the coiled system is going to be for you. Also, as I mentioned before, there is a pressure difference between the coiled hose and the straight hose. Only gonna ever be running an air compressor, then the coiled hose system will be good for you. If you're gonna run a power tank, you should consider the straight hose system. Not that you can't run a power tank with the coiled, you just have to turn your regulator down a little bit because it really puts out a lot of pressure. Also, there is a slight price difference between the two systems. The straight hose is a little bit more expensive and the coiled hose system is a little bit more affordable. But if you're really on a budget, we also sell, as you can see, there's less hose on this straight system. This is the 2x system. So we sell this in the straight and the coiled if you only want to do 2 tires at a time. then this is much more affordable than the 4-tire options. And this also might be good for those who are running different pressures in front and rear. So if you run different pressures there, then the 2x system might be easier there. You can always still use the 4x system and get your, say, your rear tires to whatever pressure you want, disconnect those, and then continue inflating the front. It's sort of mix and match, like figure out what your setup is, but I just wanted to inform you guys on the pros and cons of the whole thing so you can be informed and just make the right decision for your vehicle, for your setup, for your preferences. So that is gonna do it for this one, guys. I hope you guys are feeling like you learned a little bit about the Power Tank system, about the new Speedflate straight hose, and even a little bit about the coiled hose system if you weren't familiar with that. As always, links for all of these products will be available in the description down below. Also, if you made it this far in the video and you're not already subscribed, why don't you go down below and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on when I post my latest videos. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.